Hello, welcome to this DevDay online presentation. This is BIM 360 Field and I'm Augusto Gonçalves, a developer consultant at Autodesk Developer Network. The theme for this year DevDay is the revolution, where the desktop meets the cloud. The main idea is that we can connect all the devices through the cloud, including the desktop. First, let's start with some product introduction of BIM 360 Field. We have two main topics for the presentation. First, field management and business opportunities, and then some product features. About field management, the idea is that we can start revolutionizing the construction industry by changing the way work in the field is done and managed. We have to keep in mind that over 75% of construction costs are in the field, yet only 10% of the software is built for the field. So we have a big gap here. So we have what and how. So what are all the problems we have, and how is how we can solve that. First, we have on what we have quality programs, safety programs, documents to the field, and equipments. How and is how that is managed with online and mobile, checklists, issues and tasks, and analytical reportings. And field BIM it covers all of those items: online, checklists, issues, and analytical reports. So we have four main features for BIM 360 Field: the web version, the reports that you can see on the web version, and we have a mobile version where we can do update data, and this mobile version can be taken to the field with a field BIM. Well, the main idea is that we have a lot of observations that are done during the work on the field. In a classic workflow, most of those observations are taken at the very late stages of the work in the field. That way, all the cost is moving towards the end of the field stage, which usually is reducing the profitability. The idea, the way to solve that is move more of the observations to the early stages of the BIM field process, of the field process. That way we can reduce the cost at the very later stages, which will also reduce the costs. So if you have more observations at the beginning, then at the end we have a higher profitability, and that's the main approach of BIM 360 Field. So let's take a look at the product, how the product works. So here I'm using the desktop, the web version that's available on any browser, and here I have a project overview, and I can go, for instance, I can go to issues and see all the issues of this project. For instance, let's get this first issue here. Let's take this one, and I can edit and see what's happening around this issue. That's the type of issue, the code, the description, who reported this issue. I can also see pictures attached to this report. Let's try this one that has a picture attached to it. So I have here a picture attached to this one. I can add new ones, link files, or download this attachment. I can also see and add comments and then save all the information I have added to this issue. I can also see the calendar of tasks and see the tasks that are due for this project. I can also go to checklists, and I can see the complete list of checklists. Let's see, this list is loading, and I have here items that must be completed on this stage. So I have the information about checklists, attachments, what are the steps, everything I have in here. I also have the list of equipments and how is the stage of any of those equipments. Let's say we have an equipment here that is marked as delivered, and I can click on this one, edit, and I can then change that from delivered to installed, and then back to equipments. I also have a library, pictures attached to this project. We have pictures attached to issues, to equipments, but we also have a library of general pictures. And finally, a very interesting feature are the reports, that we can get all the reports for this project. Let's say we have a list of reports that I'm getting. Let's get a new report of issues. Let's say cumulative issue trend, and I can specify a date for this one. Let's say starting on November until late January, and I can run this one and I will get the report. This may take a few moments because it's getting all the data from the database, but note that everything is running on the server and I will get a notification by the end. Here I can see the report and I can just see this report in my PDF, Adobe PDF, and I can have the data here. So we have a few integration scenarios. So here are a few ideas that of integration that can be done. Document management, RFIs, equipment, supply chain, all of that. We have a few samples, we have a few examples of that. The first one is that we are integrating BIM 360 Field with BIM 360 Glue. That way we can get the coordinated project from BIM 360 Glue to synchronize with BIM 360 Field. That way you can get the equipment on BIM 360 Glue and the same equipment on BIM 360 Field, for instance. We have an API and how that API works. So we have, this is the basic agenda for the API. Basically the architecture is done the way you see on the screen. The part that matters the most is the top here, where we have the our custom application running. Note that this application will get data using JSON format, and we can make REST requests to the API on field and get the reply on JSON format. The rest of the architecture is not important for the APIs, for the applications that are using the APIs. So we have APIs for all the major objects, including library, issues, checklist, equipments, and tasks. We also have a few other objects like companies, users, but those are just minors. And here's a basic example of how that API, of how the model works, of the database model. We have the model for issues, so we can see the issue at the center, and this issue is connected to attachments, location, companies, and all of that. So here's a overview of how this API works. The API is a REST-based API. It returns data using JSON format and support all the high-level operations. So consulting, read, update, and delete. CRUD. With the API, you can also manipulate issues, checklists, equipments, and library files. We have two main sets of the APIs. One is the field API, the name of the object, the version that we want to access, and the API folder, which contains some other options of the API. So here are a few folders: API, API library, field API, admin, checklists, and issues. With that, we can access all that information. You can see the documentation of the API at the link you see on screen, power2.com. Note that this is not an Autodesk domain, so it may not be easy to find, so take note of that address to get the API documentation. And how it usually works. So the first step is to get a user to log in using his account. Note that in this case we are not requiring an key and secret. You just need the user account, so the user will log in. And then you get a ticket. With this ticket you can get the project and then start performing some operations. So here we have an example of how the user can log in. So pass the user ID and password, get a ticket, and with this ticket we can get the project. With the project we can then get the checklist information or any other information. We also have an example using Android. You can get this source code on our blogs. So this is going to get all the issues and let you update the issues using an Android application. It's a very interesting sample and connects to the cloud to get that information. One interesting point is that this sample will get the information and download that for offline. Then you need to sync back. That's very important because in several scenarios we have the field information, but we're not online. So that way we can get synchronize in the office, go to the field, get back and synchronize back. We have some other integration scenarios. One was done by a consulting project. We just have the screen here showing that a integration with Volt was done just to get PDF files created from Revit. That's it. Thank you for watching.